会觉得啊，设计费很贵，因为设计费被他们当作是 cost， 一旦只是 cost， 我们就会想 cost down。但是其实这样创新的东西，在国外它是属于 investment。如果这个思考的创新性思考，其实投资，如果你是当它是 value 的时候，你就会想把它 value 好。所以就是 cost 跟 value 的观念的 confuse。
And then after the Second World War, we turned the whole thing round and we made built-in obsolescence. It means we make things that will break on purpose. We did it after the Second World War to make the military economy in America transition to the civil economy so that America could become rich. We simply decided we are going to make things that will break within 2 years. There is no greater waste of life or waste of resources or waste of money than this idea. It stimulates the economy and it makes us poor. And technology is only helping rich people. We're not making technology to help farmers to live a better life or people living in the slums because they can't afford to buy the products. So they're not interested for the statistics. They're not interested for business. Of course, working for P&O makes us very famous. Working for Lillebao did not. Nobody cares. And it's really, really difficult. How do you make something that people care about? It's the only thing that is important in life is caring about things. And if you care about them, you do them well. Doesn't matter what you're doing, you do it well. And you get excited about it and interested. You get sparkle in your eyes instead of falling asleep. For every single design that you make of a product, you have to make a drawing of a person using it. And then, for each person, they make a complete story of what is their life and what can they do. Then you work out whether your product makes demands to them, low demand, moderate, high demand. And then you take something like this coffee thing, and this has a low demand and this has a high demand for noting it correctly. To use it correctly is actually reasonably difficult. And then you begin to work out the actual statistics. This is when you're using science in design, is you have to have the numbers right. You have to have the knowledge and the numbers. And then you put together for this person, how is their abilities for each one. Not imagine. Don't imagine that an old man in the mountains in Taiwan can't use a mobile phone, doesn't know how to drive a car, because they know all of these things. It's just that it's slightly different than if you're living in a city. You cannot imagine what his life is like. It's not enough to imagine for a man to imagine what it's like to be a woman, or for a child to imagine what it's like to be a grown-up. You simply don't know. And it's really, really important. We're imagining too much without enough knowledge. And without knowledge, you cannot be creative. And that was the first thing.
What's a major challenge to do this kind of service? Because it's not like you buy a coffee and people just pay and then you give them a coffee. We are selling things which is not very concrete, which is not very tangible. And we even don't know what we are selling. What your thoughts about education for people to do this kind of service?
Because the presentation we have brought with us today is a very basic introduction to some of the ideas of inclusive design. If you know about inclusive design already, maybe we shouldn't do it. Usually in Taiwan, it's technology-oriented, what we would call enablement. And when enablement is, when the research is what we could call applied research. In other words, you already have a goal. Then it becomes even more limited. Design is always a plan for the future. Always. Any product that you might be designing or service or experience that you're designing is always going to be, even if it's only hours from now. The mental construct is about projecting a future which is the best possible strategy for approaching that situation. Possible futures, probable futures, and preferable futures, and surprising futures. And usually it's surprising. Possible future is every kind of future. It's the kind of future, if you ask students, they'll say, oh, by 2030 we will be living on Mars. most of what you know about the future is complete nonsense. And if you go back 20 years, even 10 years, and look at the way people thought about the future, you say, oh my God, it's so naive. So, what we do is that we know that technology always looks at probable futures. And design is always about improving something. So it's always about what is better. So basically, if we come to a forum like this, maybe our major contribution is to discuss what are human values. Everybody's looking for something wow, a wow solution. But there are no wow solutions, it's just hard work and imagination. Creativity also, they imagine is something that, I make a magic. It's creativity. That's not true. I think you already know creativity is knowledge-based. The more you know, the more creative you can be. Creativity is taking something, an idea, and making it into reality. In universities we have economics, we have business, we have science, we have arts, all divided from each other. It's fundamentally wrong.
没有整合，在国外很多，包括设计学校，还有跟那个 engineer 学校、跟 business 学校，他们要做一个产品，一定要3个合在一起，让人家去了解创新人想的方法跟 engineer 想的方法跟财会背景想的方法，绝对是完全不一样。如果让他们可以 communicate， 可以他们 across the area 去做一个 network。